So everybody, look, it's been a few weeks since we've obviously uploaded anything for specific reasons. There's no point in getting into it, but we're back now to come back with some more random news and fact. No.
All right, next fact. Let's move along. Do you have another one?
I do. Okay, this happened last week, but it's not many people are going to know about it anyway, so we might as well talk about it. A rare giant squid washed up on the SA beaches. SA, not South America. SA for South Africa. It washed up in the Britannica Bay.
Where's that?
Western Cape side, Britannica Bay.
Oh, okay.
And it was 13 plus feet long, so just over 4 meters. And according to its size, they reckon it's roughly 2 years old. And these apparent specific giant squid only live to approximately 5 years old. So that's that. And some beachgoers found it. They tried to save it, from what I can recall, but then they realized it was obviously not breathing, not moving, whatever it was doing. The guy said he grabbed it and its sucker basically stuck to him, and then he was freaking out trying to pull it off his arm. So there was that. And now it's been received and taken in by I forgot what the name is, but a research museum or team. Yeah. And unfortunately, due to the pandemic that's going around, they can't actually do any research on the current thing. So they've frozen it and kept it in storage until they're allowed to do the research. So just random things that washed up. Apparently if I remember correctly, I didn't write it, but if I remember what I read correctly, the last one washed up roughly like late 80s, somewhere there.
In South Africa?
I think so. So I think it's only been 4 or 5 times this has happened in the history of them knowing about these giant squid.
You think that's got to do with the change, apparently, because our great whites are leaving as well.
They're just vacating
the Western Cape short. So do you think that's got something to do with it?
In terms of they're now coming in because the sharks are gone? Or just possibly, I think so. I mean, we do know that sharks eat squid and anything that's really moving that they can eat, depending on the shark. Okay, I'm not saying sharks are bad for the shark people. Based on tiger sharks, they eat ties and shit. It could also be the killer whales, because I think killer whales eat them as well, or a form of squid. So yeah, possibly. I think they might be coming in. It could also be the change of climate to the water and everything. It's causing them to come closer, maybe because the water's too warm or too cold, so they're coming in. I don't know. But yeah.
I mean, all I know is whenever I go to the beach, I'm always walking up and down that beach hoping something's washed up. So whoever got to find that squid, they're pretty lucky.
Why are you hoping?
I don't know. I want to be the guy that saves the baby whale. I mean, how cool would that be? I'll put that down on my CV. What did you do? I saved a baby whale. Have you done that? No.
Yeah.
I mean,
when else did you save a whale, huh? Bro? When did you last save a whale?
Yeah, exactly. But another fun fact about giant squids is that their eyes are the same size as a frisbee. Did you know that?
No, but I know their brains are donut shaped.
Oh yes, well, that's a nice one too. I was also I mean, I love donuts. So do you think there's anything in between the brain, like a jam donut?
I don't know. I was thinking when I read about the donut shape, do they mean it's literally like donut shaped? There's like a hole, it's like a path
circle with the hole in it,
there's something, just fluid goes in and around and shit.
I mean, what else do they mean by it? Just that it's round? Because then they would just it's
yeah. But if you get a jelly donut, you get a full donut. It's just got jelly in the middle. That's why. But
that's what I'm saying. Maybe. Yeah. I mean, maybe there's jelly in the middle. That they didn't mention.
I don't think I could obviously be 100% wrong. I don't think there's anything in the middle, because how else does it squish into weird places?
I mean, look, if it's fluid anyway, like the contents of the eye is watery. And when the invertebrate dies, it's almost like the water leaks out of the eye. So it's almost like a plastic bag with water just popping. Mm-hmm. So I would imagine that if there was something to be floating in between its brain, it would be just this fluid. Yeah, so gross. Like the jelly jam, But also, did you know, and we all know, or do you know, the enemy of the giant squid? You have to know.
You mean the giant shark?
I don't know. No, man. The sharks actually, they don't get as big. I'm talking
about that movie, the mega shark with the mega squid. But No, isn't it a whale?
Yeah, sperm whale.
Yeah,
Sperm
yeah.
whale. Sperm whales eat up to from anywhere between 4 to 131 million giant squid a year.
So
Did you know that?
maybe this one was trying to get away. That's a shit ton of squid.
But that's what I'm saying, possibly. And
Yeah.
also their suckers actually are very dangerous. So the guy who got like attached to the sucker should be freaked out because they leave huge scar marks on the sperm whales.
Or maybe because it was already dead, it was just maybe the scarring is a result of their retaliation defense, but death wise, there's none of that. It's more just the natural suction, whatever it has. So maybe that's why he didn't mention anything about scarring. He just said he got stuck to him and he kind of freaked out because he couldn't
I
get
don't
it
know.
off.
I mentioned the scarring because that's what they do to
Yeah.
the sperm whales. But could you imagine like this thing getting stuck to your arm and you're running away and you're trying to get it off, but the more you're trying to get it off, the more it's like just flung.
This is
Like you
worse.
could actually put on top of your head and have like a squid wig or something.
And the fact that it's a giant squid, you can't run away because it weighs about 3 times you do. So it's just dead there lying there and you flapping it.
But also, you know what I find quite interesting is that their tentacles regenerate. So if they cut off, they do regenerate. Which got me thinking though, for calamari and everything else. Was it water lizards, yeah. But for calamari and stuff, why do we then kill them completely? Why not just cut their tentacles off? Not all of them, but like throw like 1 or 2 and then let them grow back and then get more. You know what I mean?
I'm fairly certain that's basically torture. That's like cutting the fins off a shark and throwing it.
Is torture, yeah, but is torture worse than eating them completely? I mean, if the squid had a choice, would you be like, well, dude, I've just cut my arm off. I can regenerate my arm back, and instead of you just taking my life. I mean,
Yes, but you're thinking on a logical term of points of a human thought. You're looking at this thing, it's just casually swimming in the ocean, spinning some ink around, trying to find a rock to camouflage to. Then it gets picked up, and they just chop off a piece of it and throw it back. I mean, yes,
dude. Well, you mentioned it now. They do it to the sharks. They cut off the fins and they throw that thing back, and the fins don't grow back.
Yes, I'm saying, and that's terrible because they torture. They're still alive.
Exactly, but they die. I mean, the squid, his arm grows back, or its arm grows back.
Yeah, I understand what you're saying. I think the other problem is I don't think it grows back quickly enough. In the terms because now you got to do this because it's all about moderation, right? Don't overdo something. How many tentacles do you cut? How many do you leave behind? How much of that tentacle do you cut? So that if you drop it back,
if you're gonna cut all the tentacles and throw them back in, then you might as well just kill the whole thing like you're normally doing. So what's the point of that method?
My point is, are you a squidologist? I don't think so. Okay, so my point is
neither.
Exactly. My point is, if you cut 3, right? Let's just say you cut 3 fully off. I don't know about the research. I'm assuming you cut 3 off fully, full 3 tentacles, boom, boom, boom. And let's say it takes 5 years per tentacle to grow back. Okay, now you got 5 years of this thing with less. I'm just saying, I don't know, probably take a lot less than that. Let's say 8 months. So 8 months of this thing now with 3 less tentacles to not only swim, defend, and eat. So that's I'm saying, and maybe if it had knees, maybe if you cut above the knee, it doesn't grow back anymore that much. I don't know.
Well, but here's another thing, though. We're talking about all these facts and knowing about the research of these giant squids, but the reality is we don't know that much about these things because the first time this thing was captured live swimming on film was only in 2006. And that was found where? Surprise, surprise, Japan, because they caught it. And then they were like, look, it's a live squid. But it's because they were reeling it in on the line. Yeah. So we don't know much. And that begs my question is we want to go to Mars, but we don't even know what's swimming at the bottom of the oceans. And we found a freaking... what did we call it? The Joker spider. Just like on I mean, come on now. Well, so maybe if they did the research, maybe we could have a lifetime supply of squid tentacles if we knew how quickly their tentacles could regenerate, number 1. And number 2, there's no number 2. I just think the first fact's good enough.
No, they know what I'd do. They know what I'd do, right?
We could feed like families and families of people.
We are starting to grow organs, right? Human organs, so we don't have to cut it out of people.
Harvest. Let's use the correct terminology, Born.
The island with Scarlett Johansson. So we're cloning everyone. So maybe then that way they figure out, but the problem is torture would occur anyway, but figure out how to keep a tentacle alive. Kind of like we do when we do heart transplants. You get blood pumping into
the blue pill.
Yeah, give it there.
Above the line. All right.
No,
Yeah.
no. So you have to cut it, right? Keep it alive, and then cut off
Yeah.
a portion of it, and then let that tentacle grow back, and then cut a portion of it and get it grow back. So you'd basically have like a warehouse of tentacles that you have keeping alive via blood or whatever the case is, however it works, ink, whatever
Yeah.
things use, and you continuously just chop them every 6 months. That would be, in essence, a endless supply without actually hurting or killing the actual squids after the initial chop suey situation.
Yes. And now you're coming to the party with solutions. I like that.
I was
Thank you.
solutions. You just didn't give me any options. You're like, no, chop it off, throw it back.
No ways. You were
Okay.
like, that's. You were like, well, that's not viable. That's stupid. And I was like, well, you give me another option then.
I didn't
And
say.
you finally came up with
I
one. You
didn't say
finally came up with an
stupid.
option.
I didn't say stupid. I said
Well,
you're a squidologist.
Face,
Okay.
face. You know, I said it all. You know, your face was nearly as petrified as when you saw that spider.
That's about as gross.
Yeah. Yeah. No, I'm not gonna lie. If I saw that in my room,
Yes.
but how big is that? You said?
They said that one's 8 millimeters.
So it's
I
cheap.
think they
It's
said 8
tiny,
millimeters.
man.
I think they said,
I think-
unless I read it wrong, maybe they said 8 centimeters. Let me check.
Okay, because if it's 8 millimeters, I get like I can no. No, scientists are still being lazy. Sorry.